Hi, my name is Jack, and I really like adventures. I like to travel, skateboard, hike, even bikepack. That's my main quest, which implies the existence of a side quest. That's where volunteering comes in. With platforms like Workaway, in exchange of a few hours of work, you can get free accommodation and free food. I did this for 6 months across Sweden and Norway. I stayed at 4 different hosts. One of them kicked me out after only 5 days. My goal in this video is to rate all 4 of my experiences, so that you can learn a thing or two about volunteering and, in turn, be inspired to go on to adventures of your own.
My rating is based on the following criteria: communication, the work itself, cultural exchange, what to do on your free time. I want to put emphasis on one thing. Many of these hosts go out of their way to accommodate you, so my rating is in no way based on comfort.
My first destination was Jet Sled Dogs. Located in Jämtland, Sweden, I had to take care of 37 sled dogs. Communication, 1 out of 10. From the Workaway platform, the host immediately delegated everything to another volunteer. A red flag I would only understand later. A vague itinerary was given to me, and hard work was mentioned, but no specific hours. You gotta understand. On the Workaway platforms, the guidelines are pretty specific. You work 5 to 6 hours maximum every day, and you get 2 days off per week.
The work itself, 6 out of 10. Picture this: at 7 a.m., the sun is rising. You have to feed the 37 dogs and clean after them. You take them out with the quad for a training. A short tasteless lunch awaits you. You have to fix the many things requiring maintenance on the property. You have to clean after the dogs again, feed the dogs again. At 6 p.m, the sun is down, you're tired, a boring dinner awaits you. The host only contact throughout the day is to criticize your work and to remind you of the bigger workload coming the next day. After 5 days, I asked how days off worked. I was told there were none. Cultural exchange, 3 out of 10. The host was almost never there and didn't express any desire to spend time with us. This wasn't volunteering, it was unpaid labor. I did learn something useful: how to recognize red flags on a Workaway listing. Things to do on your free time, 0 out of 10. It should have been a 10 out of 10. A remote house in the Swedish forest, with mountains in the distance, rivers, waterfalls, wildlife that you never get to see. Because if you wake up at sunrise and finish work at nighttime, then you never have time to explore. Great potential ruined by a careless host. This was really tough for a first Workaway experience. After a pretty direct argument with the host, I was asked to leave the property. And I was scared I wouldn't find anything else. But after many messages sent, luck was on my side. And that's how I ended up at the lake house in the north of Sweden. I'm taking care of sled dogs again, but now there's only 3 of them and they're all retired. Communication, 10 out of 10. My host picked me up at the bus stop we previously agreed on. She told me I would have to feed the dogs, walk the dogs, and sometimes help out with house tasks. And that's exactly what I did. The work, 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm not giving this a perfect score is because I did not have enough to do, so I would sometimes feel guilty about it. I could wake up whenever I want. I could feed the dogs with very flexible hours. Meet Gandalf, Drenek, and Wanaka. Despite their old age, they were the perfect adventure companions. Occasionally, I would help out with housework, but it would rarely take much time. The cultural exchange, 10 out of 10. Despite being French like me, my host had integrated Swedish culture really well. She's a well-traveled person who had amazing stories to share and inspired me to make more of my own. She told me everything about the bond she shares with her dogs and about mushing.
Okay, pause. Mushing is insane, and it deserves an entire video of its own. In the meantime, here's 3 cool facts you certainly did not know about it. Number 1. Dog sledding might be over 9,500 years old, which would make it the oldest extreme sport of all time. Number 2. In 1925, an entire city in Alaska almost collapsed due to a diphtheria outbreak. A relay team of 20 mushers and 150 dogs saved the town by delivering life-saving antitoxin, crossing over 1,000 kilometers of frozen wilderness in brutal winter conditions. Number 3. That historic route later inspired a yearly route in Alaska called the Iditarod Trail Sled Dog Race. The race covers about 1,000 miles, and the current record is held by Mitch Savvy, who finished it in 8 days, 3 hours, and 40 minutes. Okay, I think I made my point. Back to volunteering. I learned about fika and traditional Swedish dishes, about life in the north and how it isn't as scary as people think it is. Things to do on my free time, 9 out of 10. What I love here is that my time was always free. I could take the canoe on the lake, explore the forest with the dogs, and when the lake froze, it was like unlocking a whole new part of the map. And then winter arrived, and I could track the footprints of deers and moose through the snow. At night, I could watch the northern lights, but all that fun had flaws. With temperatures at -30 and the sun setting at 1 p.m, it felt very isolating, even lonely at times. Still,
After my first workaway experience, this was an incredible relief. I started to understand what it truly meant to volunteer. After spending 2 months in Sweden, I now had eyes on Norway. The boats of Bergen. Bergen is the second biggest city in Norway. There, I found a gig that had something to do about a floating sauna. Communication, 10 out of 10. Time of arrival, address, work expected of me. Very simple. Fun fact, I was living on a boat the whole time. The work itself, 11 out of 10. Here's the thing. I knew that when I would start volunteering, I would be doing all kind of odd jobs, but I never realized that my own skills would come in handy. So when he asked me to take pictures of his jewelry brand and make a video of his floating sauna project, it was so satisfying to have someone believe in me the way he did. The cultural exchange, 8 out of 10. We mostly exchanged about hobbies. He taught me about desk diving, spitting fire, craftsmanship, and of course sailing. But we were both French, so it was lacking a true Norwegian identity. Things to do with my free time, 9 out of 10. I rarely had a fixed schedule, which means I could decide what to do with my days all the time. Bergen is called the City of 7 Mountains, which means there are many hikes accessible from the center that lead to impressive views of the city and beyond. The only downside? Bergen is the rainiest city in all of Europe. But as the local would say, there's no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear. I feel like I learned something really important during this workaway, is that you cannot apply the logic of a work environment to volunteering. Your relationship with your host is not one of boss and employee. It's based on trust and respect. You travel from far away to help them, and they need you just as much as you need them. Since the start of my travels, one workaway had caught my attention more than any other. But I wanted to be patient, acclimate to northern weather before I would throw myself into it. 4 months had passed since the beginning of my travels, and now I was ready for
Lipploya, the lighthouse island. In Norway, above the Arctic Circle, there's a small island with a lighthouse on it. Elena, who's in charge, needs help with renovation and all kind of handiworks. Communication, 10 out of 10. Yes, it really is that easy, I don't need to explain further. The work itself, 8 out of 10. Unlike the 2 previous workaway that were very relaxed with no specific hours, this one had a clear 9 to 4 with an hour lunch break. The work itself was physically very demanding. The day would usually start by shoveling all the snow from the stairs, a task that was rarely enjoyable but nonetheless mandatory for our safety. We would then lift a lot of heavy rocks, dig through the mud, help with destruction, but not only that, we would also have to help with cooking and cleaning because we were a small community of 6 to 10 people. Work felt like work, but good company, the amazing view, and the eagles flying above us made it something special. Cultural exchange, 10 out of 10. Elena is a fascinating human being. She was a former journalist who was offered to buy the lighthouse in exchange of renewing it. On the island, there's a huge library with books about Norwegian culture, of course, but much, much more. The volunteers, they come from all over the world, and they all have a unique story to share, which inspired me to travel even more. Things to do on your free time? 11 out of 10. The highlight of my 6 months traveling was to explore the island, because despite its small size, there was so much to do. Okay, pause again. Because to really appreciate this place, it helps to understand its history. Today, this island has only 1 permanent resident, but it wasn't always like this. People have actually lived here for centuries. In the 1800s, the island reached its peak. Around 70 permanent residents and hundreds of fishermen arriving in spring for the cod season. And then modern life happened. Roads, motorboat, electricity. By the 1950s, most residents had moved to the mainland. Only the lighthouse remained, guiding ships through the Arctic waters until 1991 when it was automated. Today, the island story continues, with volunteers from all over the world coming here to help restore and maintain this incredible place. Beyond the only 3 buildings of the island is a wild landscape. You can hike the pass, climb the mountains, go to the beach, and even explore a cave.
100,000 years ago, this cave was deep under the sea.
There's wildlife everywhere. There's eagles and cormorants in the sky, minks and otters on land, seals and even orcas in the sea. If the water was calm enough, we could hop on kayaks, and Elena even took us on a fishing trip. On stormy days, and these were common, we could stay inside with a warm fire, read a book, or watch a movie. I saw the northern lights almost every night where it was possible, and no, you do not get used to this surrealistic natural phenomenon. Weekends always felt too short. After 15 years and over 500 volunteers, Elena has created one of the best volunteer experiences there is.
So, what did I learn? All 4 workaways technically had perfect reviews on the website, and yet the first one was horrible. What was the difference?
The first culprit was obviously a lack of communication. Before you even go to your destination, you should ask your host, What do they expect from you? How many hours are you going to work? And what can you do on your free time? These are really important questions. Something else to look out for is the amount of reviews. Because if all reviews are perfect, but there's only 5 of them over 5 years, then something is going on. When I left my home, I had a plan. And as you saw in this video, after only 5 days, that plan became worthless and I had to improvise. What really mattered is that I was out there doing it. Between those side quests, I went snowboarding in Narvik, I explored the Lofoten Island, I had countless mini adventures. I experienced a true feeling of serendipity. I met hosts that became my friends. I learned about the world and about myself. It was the most fulfilling experience in my life, and I think everyone should try it at least once. If you did like that video, comment below. Where would you go on an adventure? And what kind of side quests would you do? Me? I'll be going on a lot more side quests soon, and I can't wait to share those stories.